There's a specific kind of magic that happens when Hollywood finds a new golden boy. It's that rare moment when a performer doesn't just feel like a movie star, but like one of us who actually made it. For a long time, that was Timothée Chalamet. He was the skinny, curly-haired kid with the messy suits and the awkward charm. He wasn't the typical brooding alpha male. He was sensitive, he was artistic, and most importantly, he felt real. But something shifted. Today, if you look at the comments under his recent interviews, red carpet appearances, the vibe has changed. The internet's boyfriend is being canceled, or at least vibe-checked by the very people who built him up. The conversation is no longer about his range as an actor, but about something much more uncomfortable: his ego. People are starting to feel like the humility we fell in love with has been replaced by a calculated, hyper-polished brand. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to 2018. This was the era of Chalamania. When Call Me By Your Name hit the world, Timothée was the ultimate underdog. In an industry filled with Chris Evans-style physiques, Timothée looked like a Renaissance painting. He was the outsider. Producers didn't know what to do with him at first because he didn't fit the mold. This excluded status created a deep bond with the audience. We saw him as the vulnerable artist who cared more about the craft than the fame. He was the kid who seemed genuinely shocked every time he won an award. He had what critics call the stink, that raw human imperfection that makes an actor relatable. But as the roles got bigger, the underdog started to become the monopoly. From the indie darling of Lady Bird, he transformed into the chosen one in Dune and the whimsical Willy Wonka. Suddenly, Timothée wasn't just an option. He was the only option. If there was a lead role for a young man in Hollywood, his name was at the top of the list. And this is where the cracks in the mirror began to show. When you were told you were the greatest of your generation every single day, it's hard not to start believing your own hype.
This brings us to the most uncomfortable part of the story: the shift. There's a psychological phenomenon where fame doesn't just change your lifestyle, it changes your self-perception. In Timothée's recent interviews, that awkward kid from 2018 is nowhere to be found. Instead, we see a man who seems deeply aware of his own status. He's transitioned from the humble artist to the hardest working man in Hollywood, and he's not shy about telling you. Watching him now, you start to notice a certain performed humility. It's that polished, robotic way of speaking where every sentence feels like it was written by a PR team to sound deep, but ends up sounding detached. The stink, that raw human vulnerability we mentioned earlier, has been scrubbed away. In its place is a high-fashion, high-ego brand. It's the irony of a great actor. The better he gets at playing a movie star in real life, the less we believe him as a human being. When you see him on a talk show now, you don't feel like you're watching a conversation, you feel like you're watching a performance. Then there are the external factors that shattered the internet's boyfriend image once and for all. First, the visual change. The beard, the buzz cut, the shift toward a more aggressive, mature look. It felt less like natural growth and more like a desperate attempt to shed the sensitive boy image for something more alpha. But the real tipping point for many fans was his relationship with Kylie Jenner. Now, this isn't about celebrity gossip, it's about brand alignment. For years, Timothée's brand was built on being the indie artistic soul who stood apart from the plastic world of reality TV and influencers. By joining the most famous brand-focused family in the world, the illusion was broken. To the audience, it felt like the ultimate proof that the outsider had officially become the ultimate insider. The mystery was gone, and in its place was just another Hollywood power couple. This disconnect between who he said he was and who he chose to be around created a sense of betrayal in his core fanbase.
Which leads us to the ultimate question. Has Timothée Chalamet lost the very thing that made him a great actor? In acting, there's a thin line between confidence and detachment. When an artist becomes too aware of their own greatness, their performances often start to feel hollow. They stop being the character and start being the great actor playing a character. The cancellation or the temporary backlash we're seeing isn't just because people are bored of his face. It's because we've started to see more acting in his personal interviews than we see in his movies. When he speaks about his process or his hard work, it feels like a rehearsed monologue. The audience has a built-in radar for authenticity, and right now, Timothée's radar is flashing red. We've traded the stink of a real human being for the perfume of a Hollywood product. Is this the end for him? Probably not. He is still one of the most talented actors of his generation, but this chapter of his
career serves as a haunting reminder of what happens when the ego takes the driver's seat. Success is a double-edged sword. It gives you the world, but it can also isolate you from it. If Timothée wants to win back the hearts he once held so easily, he might need to stop trying to be the hardest working man and start being a human being again. He needs to find his stink again, that messy, unpolished, and honest version of himself that didn't care about the Oscar, but cared about the soul of the story. Because at the end of the day, we don't fall in love with stars because they are perfect. We fall in love with them because for a moment on screen, they show us ourselves. And right now, Timothée Chalamet is looking less like us and more like a statue in a museum. Beautiful to look at, but impossible to touch. Thanks for watching to the end. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.